guys, let's talk about finding the area of trapezoids. First off, you need to know that a trapezoid is a four-sided shape that has only one set of parallel lines. So if you count a shape and it doesn't have four sides, it can't be a trapezoid. So you can see that all these shapes have four sides and they only have one set of parallel lines, which means only two out of the four lines are parallel. Okay, so let's look at each shape, and I'm going to highlight in orange the two sides that are parallel. So looking at this first shape here, okay, which two sides are parallel? I always call them train tracks because train tracks don't intersect. So which two sides form train tracks? And that would be these two lines form train tracks, right? Because they're parallel. So they keep going, they'll never intersect. These two lines, if I kept going, they would end up intersecting and trapping you like right here, right? So those are not our parallel lines. So these are the train tracks. So this is a trapezoid because it has four sides and it only has one set of train tracks. Here, same thing with this. This has four sides and there's only one pair of parallel lines, one set. And they are those two lines. Those two lines are parallel. They look like train tracks. They'll never intersect. Whereas these two lines, if you keep going, they're going to run into each other right up top. So they trap you at the top. So it's only one set of parallel lines. And then same thing with this one. Can you spot the two lines that are parallel in this trapezoid? And that would be those two lines right there, right? They're train tracks. They're parallel. They won't intersect. Whereas these two lines, if you keep going, they're going to run into each other up top right there. So these two cannot be your parallel sides. So those are the parallel lines for each of the trapezoids. When we look at our formula for finding the area of a trapezoid, it's half, parentheses, base 1 plus base 2, close parentheses, times the height. Now, given this formula, you do need to know what are the b's and what is the h, right? What are the bases and what are the height? And when you see a half next to a parentheses, what operation is that? That's multiplication. So you're going to either take half of the bases or you can take half of the height. Okay, so that's a number times a half. So let's plug these numbers in. So if we want to find the area of this trapezoid here, we would need to know what the bases are and what the height is. Well, the bases are your parallel lines. So your two sides that are parallel, which in this case for this shape, there are these two lines right here. So this could be base 1, this could be base 2, or vice versa. This could be base 2, this is base 1. It doesn't really matter which one's base 1 and base 2, just as long as you know that those are the bases. The height has to be perpendicular between the two bases. So basically the height is your distance between the two bases, and it's got to be a vertical line. It's got to hit the bases at a 90-degree angle. And if you look, the 8 centimeters hits the bases at a 90-degree angle. You see the right angle here, you see the right angle here. The 12 does not hit the bases at a 90-degree angle. It's actually slanted. Your height has to be a nice straight vertical line from base 1 to base 2. So this is our height. I'm going to highlight it in pink. Okay, let's look at this trapezoid. Here are our bases, and what is our height? Again, our height has to come straight down from base 1 to base 2, and that would be the 5. We had to draw it in because these two did not hit the bases at 90-degree angles. So this is our height in this trapezoid. And then here, what's our height? Our height is 4 feet. It comes straight down, forms the 90-degree angle. So this is our height. Okay, so now that we know our bases and we know our height, we can plug it into the formula and figure out the area of the trapezoid. Okay, so for this one, I'm going to plug it into the formula. So area equals half, parentheses, base 1 plus base 2, which my two bases are 6 and 10 because they're parallel, 6 plus 10, times the height, which is, and you can turn your trapezoid this way, the height is 8, right? That's how tall the trapezoid is from base to base. So times 8. Now that we've plugged it all in, so I want you guys to plug all the numbers into the formula first. Then we use order of operations to solve. In order of operations, we would do parentheses first. 6 plus 10 is 16. So we'd rewrite the equation. Area equals half, parentheses, 16 times 8. Now, it's all multiplication here. It's half times 16 times 8. So you have a choice. Since it's all multiplication, you can do 16 times 8 first and then times half, which you're taking half. Or you can take half of 16 and then multiply it by 8. Or you can even take half of 8 and then multiply it by 16. Either way, it doesn't really matter which order you do it in because it's all multiplication, all right? So I'm just going to go ahead and take half of 16. Half times 16, which is half of 16, is 8. So area equals, I'm going to do this first. Area equals 8 times 8 now. And 8 times 8 is 64. Put in your units, 64 centimeters squared. Okay? Even if I did the half times 8 first, that would be half of 8, which is 4, and 4 times 16 would still give me 64 centimeters squared. All right? So now let's look at the next one. Again, plug it into the formula. You've got half parentheses, your two bases, which are 4 and 8. So then it'd be 4 plus 8 times the height, which the height in this case is 5, right? Then do order of operations to solve for the area of this trapezoid. You got to do parentheses first. You got to add up your bases first. 4 plus 8 is 12. So you know area equals half, parentheses 12, close parentheses 5, right? So now it's half times 12 times 5. And again, you could do 12 times 5 first and then take half, or take half of 12 and then multiply it by 5, however you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead, this time I'll do it a different way. I'll go ahead and do 12 times 5 first. 12 times 5 is 60, so then it'd be a half times 60, right? And then what's half of 60? Half times 60 is 30. So this one, the area for this trapezoid is 30 yards squared. Okay, last one. For this trapezoid, we said the two bases were 3 and 6, and the height of the trapezoid from base to base is 4. So again, we're going to plug it into our formula, half, parentheses. The two bases are 3 and 6, so it's 3 plus 6, times the height, which is 4. Okay? 3 plus 6 is 9, so area equals half times 9 times 4. Again, you can do half of 9, then multiply by 4, or you can do 9 times 4 and then take half. Or you can even do half of 4 and then times 9. It's all multiplication, so it doesn't really matter which order. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take half of 4. Might as well. What's half of 4? Half times 4 is 2. Half of 4 is 2. So then area equals 2 times 9. And then 2 times 9 is 18. So area equals 18 feet squared. So that would be the area of that trapezoid right there. Okay? And so that is how we find the area of trapezoids. Now, it can get a little bit more complicated. Okay? So let's say I change it up and I have it where I give you the area, okay, and something else is missing. In this case, you can see the height is missing, all right? So I give you the area and you've got the height. You know your two bases, okay? So then what do? So again, let's think about what we have. We do have the two bases. Remember, your two bases are your parallel lines, so these two are parallel, okay? But we don't know the height. The height is right there. It's a question mark, okay? But we do know the area, so let's plug in what we do know into our formula. We know the area is 180, right? We had the half. We know the two bases, it's 20 and 10, so it's 20 plus 10, but we don't know the height. That's what's missing. We don't know the height. Okay, so how do we solve this? All right, well, let's combine what we know. So you can add the two bases together. 20 plus 10 is 30. So then that's 180 equals half, parentheses, 30 times the height. Okay, and then here, before we balance our equation to solve for height, we can take half of 30. Half of 30 is 15. So then that's 180 equals 15 times the height. And then how do we figure out the height? We divide, because this is 15 times h. So balance our equations, divide by 15. That cancels. So then the height is equal to 180 divided by 15, which I cannot solve that one in my head, so I'm going to do it right here. 15 does not go into 1. 15 goes into 18 once. Bring down the 0. 15 goes into 30 twice, and then I am done. So it's 12. So then you can see that the height is 12 meters. So the height here is going to be 12 meters. Okay? So that is our answer for the height. Not meters squared because it's not area. We're just finding the height. All right, let's do it one more time here. So we've got the area. I gave you the bases, but I don't know the height. So plug in everything you know. You know the area is 60, and bring down the half. The two bases are 8 and 12, and then the height is h, because we don't know the height, all right? Okay, again, combine what you know. You can do the 8 plus the 12, that's 20. So 60 equals half times 20 times h. And then you can take half of 20, half times 20 is 10. So 60 equals 10h. And then to figure out h, you just divide by 10, divide both sides by 10. This cancels. And h is equal to 6. 6 what? 6 meters. So your height in this case is 6 meters. Okay? Now, this one's a little bit more challenging. I gave you the height. I gave you one of the bases, and you don't know the other base, but you do know the area. So again, let's plug in everything we know here, okay? So we know the area is 72 meters squared. We know the half is there. We know one of the bases. We don't know one of the bases, but we know base 2 is 14, right? So we don't know this base, but we know this base. And we know the height this time, okay? The height is 6, all right? Because remember, these two are your train tracks. Those are your parallel sides. Those are your base. And this line comes straight down, up and down, and it's perpendicular, so it must be the height, right? So we know one base, we know one height, we don't know the other base. So that's why I left this as a B, okay? But we filled in the height, we filled in one of the bases. Now, this one's a little trickier because you can't balance inside the parentheses. You got to get rid of everything outside. So we can't take half of this number because we don't know what this number is, but you can take half of the 6. What's half of 6? Half of 6 is 3. So then you've got 72 equals 3 times, the parentheses can't go away yet, b plus 14. We can't get to the b until we get rid of the times 3 on the outside. So to get rid of times 3, we divide by 3. That cancels to 1, right? 72 divided by 3 is 24. So we got 24 is equal to b plus 14. Now we can remove the parentheses because we got rid of the b on the outside. And then finish balancing. To get the b by itself, we do minus 14, and then that cancels. So then b is equal to 10. So b is equal to 10 meters in this case. Okay? And then you can always test it out to make sure it actually works. Plug the 10 in, put it back into the formula. Does it give you an area of 72? All right, and that's it for trapezoids.